innovative and creative thinking to develop this among our students. So when I mentioned about holistic development, I mentioned about the multiple pathways for students to be successful, but there's also one part that I want to emphasize, and that is for them to be lifelong learners, to have the intrinsic value, to see the joy of learning. And that is very important, and that's what we are focusing in the education system in Singapore now. So, this is relatively new. From 2019 onwards, of primary 1 and primary 2, we don't have any more exams. It's bite-sized assessment. It's very formative. It's not really always summative, but more of formative assessment. From 2020 to 2021, mid-year examination will be removed from primary 3, primary 5, Set 1, and Set 3. Now, currently in school, for all the levels, we have both, except for primary 1 and 2, we have mid-year and final year. We are removing the mid-year for all these levels. And of course, for the PSLE, we have wider score bands so that we reflect students of their own performance. So it's not so competitive. You do not go and fight for 1 point or 2 points, you know. So this is something that we are moving towards. Now, we talk about holistic development, and this is what we really look into, and to develop students in terms of the 21st century competency. If you look into the inner circle, it's about values. Values is important, you know, especially in this globalized world. Then we talk about their social emotional competency, the ability to know your own strength and your own weakness. How do you manage yourself? How do you relate to others? How do you make responsible decisions? All these are very important social emotional competencies that we want to foster in our students in our school. In the 21st century, it's very important for them to have civics literacy, global awareness, and also cross-cultural skills. At the same time, to be future ready, you have to be critical and inventive, to be a critical and inventive person. To have creative and inventive thinking is important too. Communication, collaboration, information literacy, very important and necessary too. And with all these things, what are we developing? What outcomes are we looking at? We are looking at a confident learner, an active contributor, a self-directed learner that's able to be intrinsically motivated to continuously to learn, as well as a concerned citizen. So they are rooted in Singapore, but yet they have a global perspective. So this is what we aim to achieve through our curriculum within a school in Singapore. And when we focus on holistic development, we also introduce initiatives like Applied Learning Program and also Learning for Life. Let me elaborate a bit. What is Applied Learning Program? You know, I don't know whether you face the same issue and problem like in Singapore. Students tend to study for exams. They learn the concept, they just do well for exams. But sometimes they cannot apply the concept to real-world situation. So in Singapore, we are going to move into this for them to have authentic learning. And that's the reason why school is going to applied learning, where students learn how to apply the concept learned in the classroom, outside the classroom, into the real world. And let me give you this example. This is an example of a top-down support and bottom-up initiative. When the ministry talk about applied learning program, they give the direction and the fund. But it's up to the school to decide which applied learning program they want for their students. Some schools enter into robotics, some schools enter into environmental issues programs. So different schools, depending on the outcomes they want for the learner, will embark on different programs. And the ministry will support them. Okay? And for the applied learning program, it's not tested. However, if let's say the school feels that they want to offer it as an O-level subject, they can offer it if they want to. We also have Learning for Life program. So what is Learning for Life program? I show you the competencies framework just now. Inner circle is value. The Learning for Life is about developing our students the effective aspect of learners. To develop the effective aspect of our students. Okay. So what do I mean? Social, emotional competency, ability to contribute to the community. So all these things we hope that we can develop through all this progress. And all the schools will embark on this progress under, and this broad initiative is given by the ministry. So, and in all these things, the role of the educator is crucial. The role of the teacher is crucial because they play a very important role to inspire and to design the learning environment for it, which I will elaborate a bit later on. Okay, so I've done this, okay. Now, I mentioned about creative and inventive thinking. So, in Singapore, we look into the 3 I's. It's very important for our students to be imaginative, to have divergent thinking. It's important for them to be inquisitive, to always ask questions. It's not about getting the answer, but also asking a question. It's not about just why, but why not. It's also about interconnection. It's not about learning in isolation, but it's learning between, what are the connections that you can make between the subjects they will learn. For example, in solving a problem, what did I learn from physics? What did I learn from maths? What did I learn from geography? How do I see the interconnectedness among all of this in order to solve a problem that involves all these 3 disciplines? And this is what we hope to see in our students, and this is what is important for when they go out to work in the real life, in the real world scenario. Okay. I talked about this already. We do not only have mainstream school, but because we believe in maximizing the potential of every child, we also have sports school, we also have art school, and we have also gifted programs. So there are technical schools too, polytechnics, so we have different pathways from different profiles of learner. Okay, I've talked about that already. Now, we all know, in any new initiative, it is not just about engaging policymakers know that it's not only about engaging the school, the teachers, but parents is equally important. So in Singapore, when we make known to the public on all this initiative, the school will take the responsibility to communicate all these changes to the parents. And they have a lot of parents interaction, parent support group, so that parents know what is good and what is coming for their child's education. So the move away from just paper achievement, but the focus on holistic development, that's really important. Okay. Finally, for the overall view of the education system in Singapore, I'd just like to state this. Your assessment practice can change, but with the change in assessment practice, your teaching and learning in the classroom must also change. And that is the reason why in Singapore, we make it very explicit what are the important components in the teaching and learning environment. And we call this the Singapore Teaching Practice Model. As you can see here, the pedagogical practice, the type of teaching approaches you use in the classroom is at the center, as a heart. But when you design your practice for your students, the type of pedagogical approach that you want to engage for your students, it's important that you know your content knowledge. You have subject mastery. It's important that you know your learner and their learning process. It's important that you know what are the essential of good teaching, the importance of establishing student-teacher relationship, etc. So, what we are saying is that it's not enough to know the how of doing things or the what, but you need to know the why, the theory behind it. So that as teachers, you want to improve our practice, you understand what are changes that needs to be done. So this is what is very important in the Singapore schools now. The teachers are also researchers. They form learning groups within the school, during the school curriculum, to really look into their practice. They look in their practice not only in the how, but understanding the why so that they can make the changes and the refinement. But most importantly, you can see that right at the bottom is a Singapore curriculum philosophy. All these are anchored on the Singapore curriculum philosophy. And what is that? That is the belief that every child can learn. The belief in the holistic education for every child. And all these practices hinges on that belief. This then further elaborate, so that within the Singapore teaching practice, we actually look into the 4 very important teaching processes. We look into how to establish a positive classroom culture. We look into how do you prepare a lesson as a teacher. We look into how do you deliver the lesson and how do you give assessment and feedback for the students to enhance their learning. So all this are very important. Okay? So up to this point in time, I just given you a brief overview of the education system in Singapore, and what is it that we are focusing in this current teaching and learning context. I'll now briefly go into teacher education in Singapore. I must first say that one of the enabler or one of the success factor in Singapore is that we have very close working relationship between our college, which is teacher college, with the ministry, as well as the school. Our college is a tertiary institution. We provide teacher education, but we work very closely with MOE as well as the school. And we believe that the quality of the education system cannot exceed the quality of the teacher. Teacher quality is very important. So when it comes to the recruitment of the teacher, only the best get recruited to be teacher. And really, at the end of the day, it's not just about teachers having good score or high score. It is also about their passion for teaching and also their competency for teaching that we are talking about. So what do I mean? You know, a lot of Singapore is the only system where the teachers are really employed by the ministry before they come to teacher college. So when they are employed, majority of them, when they are employed by the ministry, they will go to school straight away before they enter teacher college. So when they go to school, they will then know what is it like to teach in a classroom. So they will start teaching in a classroom as an untrained teacher first. Then the school will observe, you know, even though they may not have the competency to be a full-fledged teacher, but they have the attitude, they have the quality, and they have the professionalism to be a teacher. So when the school sees that, they will recommend them to go and say, okay, you can go and do your teacher training. However, if any one of them doesn't have the attitude and the passion to be the teacher, the school can say, no, you do not go to NIE for your teacher education. All right, so that is a gateway. Okay, and the majority of teachers go through that path. So it's not about just the good score. It's about the attitude and the professionalism too. For students that goes to our BSc program with a diploma in education, that means the bachelor degree in education, they are all scholars. So for these students, in order to come for our scholars program, out of 2,000 applicants, we only take 50 to 75. And for these students, it's not about only good score. They have to be interviewed. They have to write a personal statement of why they want to be a teacher, and they have to teach in front of a panel of interviewers. So as you can see, it's a very rigorous recruitment process that we look into in Singapore to recruit our teachers, because we believe that we need the best for our education system. And of course, the remuneration package for our teachers is also good, and the status of being a teacher is relatively high in Singapore too. All right, so I just want to go to 2 more slides before I end today's presentation. I want to emphasize that in today's context, we need to change what teacher is supposed to be like. Teachers are now creators of knowledge. They are no longer disseminator of knowledge. They are facilitator of learning. They are not just transmitter. They are architect of learning environment. How you design your teaching and learning environment in your classroom is very important. That is what it means to be a teacher. It's not just delivery. You need to plan and you need to design your learning environment. Shaper of character and leaders of education change. And in order to do that right, we actually go through the 5 Ps. In NIE, we talk about teacher professionalism. We go through rigorous programs for students. We have a heavy emphasis on professional practice. We do it through innovative pedagogy, because for the teachers to do it in class, we have to model it for our student teacher. And we want our teachers to be teachers with multiple perspectives. All right, so these are the things tomorrow I will elaborate more on. What are the programs in NIE that align to the 5 Ps and ultimately bring us to the type of graduates that we want to develop. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you. 네, 고맙습니다. 전반적인 그 교육의 핵심 방향부터 해서 마지막에 교사교육까지 이어지는 좋은 발표였던 것 같습니다. 이제 3번째 발표로 독일의 학교 혁신 사례를 발표를 해주시겠는데, 성함이 제가 발음이 고등학교 때 독일어를 배웠었는데 그래도 읽기가 어려웠어요. 한번 여쭤봤었습니다. 성함이 볼프강 포겔쟁어인데, 포겔쟁어가 영어로 하면 포겔이 버드고 쟁어가 싱어라고 합니다. 그래서 노래 부르는 새라는 이름이라고 아까 저한테 설명을 해주셨는데, 볼프강 포겔쟁어 전 교장 선생님 박수로 맞이해 주시기 바랍니다.
You are able to listen anymore for another speech, because it was hard to sit so long and to listen so long. So excuse me, because I'm not the representative of the German government, and I'm very jealous about the governments of Finland and Singapore, because I dreamed of those governments. But what to do when there is not such a government? And my answer is the grassroots schools, which are formed in Germany at the year of 1975, and now I think the grassroots schools will be the most powerful motor of innovation, and it will be arriving in the classrooms, and the government is out of order. So it's my subject, and from 22 to 2018 I was headmaster of one of the best schools in Germany, and it exists a book of Korean colleague shown here. If you want to read more about my school, then you can read this book. So there's nearly no national strategy to improve schools in Germany. That's crazy. And the only ones are waiting for better PISA results. Sometimes they come, sometimes they go. They want a better quality by centralized examination, and Singapore says this is awful, this is not good, and I am the same opinion. And now they want to spend 5 billion euros for digital learning, but nobody wants to have this money, because in Germany the different countries are ruled by different parties, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, and some countries by the Greens, and every country has its own educational policy, because that's the only thing politicians and governments can decide. So if another party wins the elections after 5 years, then they change the educational policy. And the schools are not able to count on a continuity for their schools. I know I have a good school. Then election next year and the new government will change all. And I stay in my school. So, what's the reason for this? The German system is still a system of feudalism. There's a gymnasium for the upper class, the Realschule for the middle class, and the Hauptschule for the working class. And the families of high social status want to stop that other children come up and get good jobs. This is also crazy because Germany has less inhabitants, we need immigrants, and we need also jobs in handicrafts and so on, hand workers and not only medicines and architects. So it's a system very crazy. That changes in 1968, and people of my generation, they didn't knew what their parents did in the time of Hitler. When I asked my parents, what did you do in this time? No answer. So they could be murderer, they could be resistance, I don't know. There was a Vietnam War, the Korean War, and the division of Germany. And all this was a feeling of that society, how it works, is not the right society, and we, as a generation, we wanted to change it. And we asked for the reason for this, and we found the answer. The main reason was the system of producing authoritarian personalities. Therefore, the First World War, the Second World War, Hitler, and so on. And so my generation tried to change this attitude in German schools, in German justice, in German morals, and in other areas. And we wanted to make a better world, and a world which looks at each child and not puts the children in different cupboards. So the question is, what kind of school do we want to have, and in what society do we want that our children will live in the future? And do we want to have a school of fear and shame, or do we want a school of encouragement? And my answer is to the school of encouragement. No, I have to make it like this. So, and you see, what was our answer? Our answer, this is the NGO of schools who wanted to do a better school system than the official school system. One answer was that we want to let our students work in teams. You see here one class of my school, my former school. There's groups, 3 boys, 3 girls, 3 girls, 3 boys, and they get tasks together. And they have to discuss the solutions. Not the teacher asks and then the hands go up and the teacher says you. But the hands go up when the team is ready, when they discuss the problem and they think that they have the right solution. And sometimes it is very clear and very simple tasks, but sometimes the tasks are very, very complicated. They last a half a year, and they work half a year on those tasks. So women and men, and also children of different social classes and of different abilities of learning. Good learners, not good learners. And they form this team in all subjects in the school. In the science, in practicing with wood, with cooking, with metal and all the things in the sports, in culture. They have a circus, and they build circus productions and so on. So I think that this is the main reason of our success, that we working in teams, and not only the children but also the adults, because I think that adults must be a model for the children. We cannot want something from the children what we by ourselves not do. So our generation, my generation, built a movement to build better public schools as comprehensive schools. Comprehensive schools where all students are together, students with handicaps and students with high capability. We were inspired, are inspired by humanism and the year of 1960. We wanted a grassroots democracy against the governments. And we had the idea of community teams and multicultural and multisocial children. So you see in the picture the first grassroots team of my school in 1969. They sat in the grass and planned the school. And this school was not much supported by the government, but from the idea of helping each other. This is one of the pictures I like very much, because it shows that this guy had to solve a very complicated task. He has to balance over a row, and alone he would not be able to do this. But his team partners support him, and if a wind comes or if he fails, then they stabilize him. And at the end, he has the impression that he reached this goal, and he knew that this is by the help of the others. And then they turned and they changed, and the others are on the tour. So this is a picture of the typical thinking of philosophy of my school, of our school. So those schools, those comprehensive schools, exist since 1975, and we were against the classical system in Germany, which exists since 400 years. And we see in Göttingen, in my town, there are both systems. My comprehensive school, now we have 4 comprehensive schools in Göttingen, and 5 gymnasiums with the old system. And it was always a fight between the systems. And you see all the red and all the yellow points are schools which were mostly built by private initiatives, not by the government, but they were public and not private schools, against the selective system, with inclusion and participation, and wanted by many parents. The parents wanted those schools because the stress, Singapore said this, the stress in the classical school system is very high, and to learn and to live in a school, this is very, the parents love it very much. But those schools were mostly in fences. They were in the fight against the other system, and so so we built non-governmental organization, View Over the Fence, and all network schools, 134 at the moment, are building schools of 8 schools. Singapore also 8 schools, and those schools are also spread all over Germany, and they have a philosophy, the basic beliefs, that the school must change if the students change, and not the children have to adapt to the school system. If there's some child who is not happy, then the school must be changing and not the child. And these declarations of beliefs are open, and the way they work together is the way of peer review. 7 schools every year go twice to the 8th school, and then changing, and they stay there for 3 days, look in the lessons and speak with teachers and headmaster, parents and students, and then they give a peer review to the whole school. So we thought first that this would be a guarantee of quality. But if the 8 schools are not so good, then the quality isn't the right thing. So that was the idea of 2 foundations in Germany. You know, perhaps the Bosch enterprise with the machines. Yes, you know. Okay. Bosch Enterprise or Bosch Foundation founded a German School Award. A private foundation founded a prize for the best school of Germany. And the best school of Germany every year will get 100,000 euro. That's much money. And it's not the government searching good schools. That's ridiculous. A private foundation searches for good schools. And they want that they are honored, that their achievements and their attitude are highlighted, and that those schools can become a role model for school development in Germany. And the quality must be, I don't know why this is not so. No? So, there are 6 criteria for good school. And this is very important. This is first, but one of 6 criteria, the academic achievement. Then, diversity, multicultural. The teaching quality, responsibility and accountability for society environment. The school climate, school culture and external partners. Open school, and school as a learning institution. And you can believe me that when I got 2011 the prize for the best school of Germany, it was the best day in my professional life, not in my private life, but in my professional life. And you see, the man who gave me the prize was the Premier Minister of Germany. And it was the man who wanted to destroy my school. Because this school, with all the children, it's not his philosophy, and we were a little bit a problem for him. And he said the problem with my school was that the parents are so engaged in my school, and this is a problem for politicians when parents are engaged in the educational system. And because you ask how to engage the parents in school, we have a system of visiting the parents and the students at home, at their homes, at their apartments. So 4 times a year, the 2 teachers are visiting 1 student, and all the other 5 members of his desk group are coming also in this flat or apartment, and also the parents. And so you have in 1 room or in a big house, you have 2 teachers, 6 students, and 12 or patchwork families, 14 parents. And the way is always that the kids are presenting what they have learned in the last 3 months. And this is a sort of evaluation, because the parents know what was done in the school, and also the teachers can regard, can see what was successful, what was not so successful. Then the teachers report what this group, how it was developing in this time. Then the parents can ask in critic can do critical things and discuss things they don't understand, or they propose something. And after 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, the kids are going playing at the room of the children or outside, and the parents with the teachers are discussing things the students do not have to hear. So, then this foundation of the school prize came to the idea that now, after 7 years, there are 73 schools with a school prize. And the idea was that all winners of the school prize will form an academy for teaching schools, for coaching teachers, headmasters, and they do it by dialogue in conferences, networkings, by Werkstätten, was heißt Werkstätten? Ich hab's vergessen. Learning groups, learning circles, and in networks and in platforms. So this is a program of the academy, and all the directors, all the headmasters of the best schools of Germany are now the teachers for other schools, other teachers in other schools and other headmasters. And so I think that our mission is to bring the good school practice of good schools into the system, to coach schools, to educate teachers, to train headmasters, and it is most important, to influence governments and policy. And our legitimation is that our best practice is identified. We know that we are good schools, the television knows it, the newspapers know it, and also not the politicians doesn't know it, they don't want it. We have transparent criteria and the best headmasters and teachers as models. And our hope is to broadly disseminating a reliable idea of practice of school, a bottom-up movement, that this will finally, I think when I will be here in 10 years, I can say that finally we are supported by the governments, and we can set up an international education in each school. Our political claims, and we begin now to bring political claims into the society, the autonomy of schools, no marks in schools because marks are not good for learning, not learning for the test, but learning for the life, and in the future, the two ladies told the same. Responsibility for the future, for environment, for the society, and working in teams means children and adults. My teachers can decide which timetable they have, how many money they need for their level. When the teacher is ill, then they can decide which other teacher goes into the classroom. It's not my task as a headmaster, that the teachers are doing by themselves. I don't want to know it. I want that the lessons are going on, and that the students and the parents are, and the society is happy with this. But how they do it, that's their problem. And more time for the children. We have classes with 30 children, too much. If you want to have a relation to the children, if you want to understand their problems, and if you want to help individually, then 30 children are too much. We want better trained teachers and headmasters, and we do it in our academy now. and we want the government as a supporter, bottom up, top down supporter, not as a showstopper. And we want that the children's rights of the United Nations must be valid in each school, in each lesson. So our realistic dream, the grassroots movement of good schools, will soon be promoted by official policy. You see that our president, the former president, has his problems with this idea, but if he will be able, or not he, but his successors, then my children will give him standing ovations. Thank you for listening.
고맙습니다. 이제 외국에서 오신 세 분의 발표를 들었고요. 마지막으로 이 포럼을 함께 우리 송기서 대표님하고 운영하시고 힘들게도 이렇게 잘 구성해 주셨던 우리 안성문 서울시교육청 장관님께서 전체 학교의 변화와 혁신을 위한 8개년 시나리오라는 주제로 미래 학교 만들기 프로젝트에 대한 제안을 발표해 주시겠는데요. 지금 원래 진행 시간보다 약 한 10분 정도 딜레이 되고 있어서 10분 정도 세이브해 주시리라 하는 기대를 가지면서 박수로 맞이하겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
멀리에서 오신 세 분의 발표를 주셨습니다. 세 나라를 초청한 이유가 있어요. 세 나라를. 우리나라에서 지금 제일 부족한 것 중에 하나가 과연 학교를 어떤 방향으로 변화시켜야 되는가에 대한 공감대가 부족하다고 봅니다. 세계는 지금 어디로 가고 있는데 과연 우리는 학교를 어떻게 변화시켜야 되는가. 그래서 이번에 이제 핀란드는 사실 이제 제가 처음에 소개할 때는 핀란드는 작은 나라니까 여러 가지로 그렇게 생각했는데 지금 전 세계적으로 인정을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 이제 세계적인 일종의 트렌드 내지는 세계적인 교육계획의 방향에 대해서 제가 보기에는 자신 있게 국가적인 차원은 물론이고 학교 단위 실천의 차원에서도 잘 준비하고 체계적으로 나가고 있는 나라라고 볼 수 있고요. 그 다음에 싱가포르는 우리 동양적인 전통을 공유하고 있고 입시랄지 여러 가지 우리와 비슷한 교육적 전통을 가지고 있는 나라인데 지금은 완전히 새로운 교육 시스템으로 바꾸고 있지 않습니까? 그리고 이제 독일은 우리가 사실 독일에 대해서는 많은 독일의 교육학적인 연구나 실천 또는 독일의 진보적이라기보다는 좀 실험적인 학교들을 많이 소개했는데도 불구하고 독일은 국가 수준에서의 교육계획으로 보면은 굉장히 좀 깝깝한 상황이라고 지금 아까 말씀하셨지 않습니까? 네. 그러나 그 독일에서 바로 풀뿌리 이 교육혁명을 준비하는 운동이 지금 진행되고 있다는 거죠. 네. 그것을 지금 지원하거나 서포트하는 게 로버트 보쉬 재단인데요. 보쉬 아시죠? 네. 하나의 기업이 이 독일의 지금 교육의 변화를 강력히 지원하고 있는 걸 볼 수 있습니다. 그래서 저는 우리나라도 지금 여러 교육적인 모색을 하고 있는데 오늘 조금 전에 어떤 뉴스를 보니까 국가교육회의에서 교장의 연임을 담임으로 만들겠다라는 그런 발표를 했어요. 저는 거기에 공감합니다만은 그런 식으로 국가교육회의가 그렇게 발표해서는 안 들리리라고 보거든요. 한번 물어봐야죠. 국민들에게 물어보고 학교에 물어봐서 모아지는 만큼의 공감대를 바탕으로 해서 내일 모레 당장이 아니어도 좀 긴 시간을 가지고 공감대를 모아서 실행해야 되는데 우리는 유치원 문제는 비리 때문에 그런다고 할지 모르지만 너무 교육개혁을 완력으로 또는 어떤 이 중앙집권적인 힘으로 밀어붙이려고 하는 그런 이 전통이 있어 왔습니다. 저는 그것을 바꿔야 된다는 생각이 들거든요. 저는 그래서 지금 국가 전략이라는 말을 여기서 우리가 쓰고 있지만 국가가 과연 교육을 어떻게 바꿀지에 대한 이 전략이 있어야 되는데 그 전략이 바로 그 뭐랄까요? 아주 큰 거창한 무슨 2030 비전도 전략이겠지만 그 디테일하게 어떤 작은 변화를 만들기 위한 과정을 설계하고 생각을 모으고 마음을 모아서 가야 된다는 거죠. 저는 그래서 우리나라 교육을 변화시키기 위한 좀 전략적인 생각을 한번 함께 해보자는 그런 관점에서 몇 가지 좀 정리를 해봤습니다. 저는 파워포인트를 준비할 시간이 없었습니다. 이 전체를 어레인지 하느라고 양해해 주시고 제 발표가 92페이지인데요. 제가 이제 92페이지인데 그 앞에 84페이지부터 좀 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 네, 교육개혁은 국가의 전략과제가 되어야 한다. 우리 지금 이 문재인 대통령이 하고 있는 남북 관계를 풀려고 하는 노력은 저는 굉장히 전략적인 노력을 봅니다. 네. 경제를 풀려고 하는 노력은 저는 전략적이지 못한 것 같아요. 네. 아주 부분적이고 지역적인 방법으로 경제를 바꾸려고 하고 있는데 교육은 뭐 제가 보기에는 아무런 전략이 없지 않나. 그 전략이라는 것을 근데 이제 아까 말씀하셨듯이 이 중앙집권적인 어떤 힘으로 변화를 강제하는 전략이 아니라 아까 싱가포르에서 얘기했습니다. 이니셔티브는 아래로부터 바텀업 이니셔티브, 톱다운 서포트라고 얘기했습니다. 네. 바로 위에서는 아래를 지원해야 된다는 거죠. 그리고 아래로부터는 어떤 이니셔티브라는 게 뭡니까? 운동, 실천을 주도하는 거죠. 바로 그런 모형으로 저는 우리나라 교육이 좀 설계되어야 되지 않나 싶고요. 그런 점에서 지금의 국가교육위원회나 아니면 국가교육위원회 앞으로 구성이 되더라도 교육을 그렇게 다뤄야 한다. 바로 그런 관점이 전략적인 관점이라는 거죠. 그래서 저는 그런 관점으로 교육을 다루기 위해서 우리가 정말 심각하게 고려해야 될 것이 무엇인가. 또는 교육개혁을 디자인하거나 교육정책을 결정하는 것을 교육 전문가들이나 또는 무슨 사범대 교수들, 출신들 아니면은 뭐 교사들, 교육자들 중심으로 결정해왔던 건 이제 끝나야 된다고 봅니다. 그러다 교육자들을 배제하자는 건 아니에요. 이니셔티브는 교육자들로부터 나와야 되죠. 바텀업, 독일처럼 말이죠. 그러나 결정을 하는 과정은 훨씬 더 많은 사람들이 참여해야 되는 거죠. 기업도 참여하고 노동조합 당연히 참여해야 되고요. 학생도 참여할 수 있어야 되고. 아까 핀란드의 국가교육위원회, 국가교육청이라고 개명하고 조직을 지금 바꿨습니다만은 그 맨 위에 보드 오브 에듀케이션이 있어요. 그게 바로 그 많은 이른바 영어로 말하면 스테이크홀더스라고 할 수도 있고 그 다양한 관계자들이 함께 논의에 참여해가지고 국가교육과정을 결정하고 있거든요. 우리도 그렇게 해야 된다는 거죠. 무슨 아무개 대학의 교육과정 전공한 교수가 일정한 팀을 꾸려가지고 교사들과 함께 전문적으로 연구하고 준비해가지고 어느 날 발표해서 실행한다? 그걸 끝내야 된다는 거죠. 그러기 위해서는 바로 내셔널 컨센서스, 공감과 뭔가 이 합의가 필요하다는 거죠. 그런 점에서 저는 우리 교육계획의 전략적 과제의 핵심은 국가적인 공감대를 만들고 국민적 합의를 만들려고 노력해야 된다. 어려워 보이지만 저는 충분히 할 수 있다고 봅니다. 좀 기다려야 되기도 하고 또 접근하는 방법을 달리 해야 되죠. 그래서 저는 그 첫 번째 교육계획을 위한 새로운 전략적 모색을 위한 이 제안으로 사회 구조적인 문제의 해결과 병행해야 된다. 바로 이 점이 바로 교육자들끼리만 결정할 수 해서는 안 되는 부분이에요. 복지를 정비하고 사회적인 돌봄의 시스템을 만들어내고 함께 하는 많은 이 복합적인, 융합적이고 복합적인 관점에서 교육을 다루어야지 교육 안에서, 학교 안에서 뭔가를 만들어보자. 혁신학교 우리끼리 잘 만들어보자. 그걸 넘어서야 된다는 거죠. 지금 서울에서 어떻습니까? 혁신학교를 반대하려고 지금 들고 나서는 사람들이 있지 않습니까? 근 10년 동안 우리는 혁신학교를 이야기해왔는데 학부모들이 반대하고 나서고 있어요. 왜? 합의하지 않았기 때문에. 네? 아무리 좋은 교사들의 경론도, 아무리 좋은 교사들의 교육 실천도 국민적 공감과 합의 과정을 거치지 않으면 저는 인정받을 수 없다고 봅니다. 인정되어야 하지만 인정받지 못하는 거죠. 송파에서 지금 어떻습니까? 네? 그것도 교육감님이 거기에 맞다고 툭 던지니까 그런 거죠. 탑다운에 너무 우리는 익숙해 있어요. 그걸 바꿔야 되는데 그 관점에서 사회 구조적인 문제와 함께 해결해야 된다. 복지 시스템, 돌봄 시스템, 이 많은 것들이 함께 고려되어야 된다. 다음으로는 중장기적이고 종합적인 접근과 사회적 합의가 필요하다. 조금 시간이 걸리더라도 한 5년, 10년 걸리더라도 우리는 합의해서 나가야지 지금 단기적으로 4년, 5년 만에 대통령 임기에 뭘 하겠다는 그 접근법 때문에 우리 교육이 얼마나 만신창이가 되고 있습니까? 합의할 수 있도록 해야 된다는 거죠. 네, 그 다음에 학교와 마을과 교육자와 전문가가 함께 해야 된다. 계속 지금 제가 이야기하는 게 바로 뭐냐면은 교육자 중심주의 또는 교수 중심주의 뛰어넘어야 됩니다. 네. 함께 논의해서 합의할 수 있어야 되는데 저는 그것을 지난번에 입시제도를 합의했던 그런 공론화 과정의 합의를 말씀드린 게 아닙니다. 네. 좀 더 큰 규모의 방향과 철학과 원칙에 대한 또는 국가적인 교육의 비전에 대한 합의가 필요하다는 거죠. 네. 그 다음에 승진이 아닌 교육의 본질이 이끄는 교육으로의 대전환이 필요하다는 건데요. 지금 우리 교육은 솔직히 말씀드리면은 참 제가 외국 그 발표자들에게 말씀드리기도 어려워요. 우리나라는 교사들이 승진 점수 때문에 여러 가지를 해야 되고 또 교원 평가 때문에 교사를 평가하겠다고 들이대는 그것 때문에 힘들어한다는 말을 하는 게 참 부끄러워요. 어떻게 그런 교육을 상상할 수 있는지 말이죠. 그런 걸 과감하게 폐기해야 되는 거죠. 교육이 아닌 걸로 교육적이지 않은 잣대로 교사를 재고 그래서 그걸 말하자면 이른바 수요자 중심 또는 수익자 학생들에게 뭔가 서비스를 제공하는 존재로서만 교사를 인정하는 그런 관점을 뛰어넘어야 된다는 거죠. 그래서 교육의 본질이 이끌어야 된다는 것은 바로 앞에 세 나라의 우리가 발표를 들 때마다 어떤 가치랄지 열정이랄지 비전이랄지 이런 이야기 하지 않습니까? 과연 우리나라 교육이 또는 우리나라 학교마다 교사들이 어떤 비전과 어떤 미션을 가지고 지금 다녀가고 있는가? 그 다음에 저는 교육에 대한 사회적 합의를 또 이야기하고 있는데 88페이지 보면은 바로 교육에 대한 사회적 합의가 왜 중요한지를 말씀드리고 있는데 이 사회적 합의는 과연 교육은 무엇을 위해서 존재해야 되는가? 우리 아이들에게 지금 학교에서